Roll call.
Larry Fiddler,
Here.
Greg J,
Here.
Gary Bennington,
Here.
Cindy Holland,
Present.
Is there any additions or deletions from the agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Larry, before you,
Okay.
no, I don't have anything. I'm
Okay.
Wow.
Are
Sorry.
you sure?
Yeah.
Can reconsider?
Yep.
We're good.
Uh,
Do I have a motion to
Should we
approve?
accept it?
Okay.
Oh.
All righty, all in favor?
Aye.
Old business, town manager. Advertising for the position.
Okay, so I spoke with Larry a little bit about this last week. I wanted to talk to you all, start to develop a game plan. On the town manager role, okay? We had, in one of our previous meetings, that the council did decide to go ahead and post that position, get it posted. I can tell you the need is there. We need someone here supervising, being that point of contact, going between the different departments and really kind of being the glue that holds the town together, because we have not had that. We actually have not had that since April, so it's been quite some time. We really do need someone in that role. So, I asked Larry if we could have this special meeting just briefly to discuss, one, get ideas for how you want to advertise, and Kelly, if you have any input, because I talked briefly to Kelly about this as well. We need some more information about how the council would like to advertise. Do you want to do it through classified ads in the newspaper? Do we want to put notice on our Facebook page and our website? Would you want to utilize services like Indeed or ZipRecruiter to gather applications? There's a lot of different options, but I think we just need better clarification as to how you would like to do this. In regards to a time frame, I suggest that the council deliberate this evening and develop a time frame for the hiring process to begin. So, for example, let's just say that the time frame begins December 1 and ends ends January 1. From December 1, there's gonna be an open window to accept applications, and then from there on, we would take additional steps to begin the process of reviewing and selecting the qualified applicant. I don't know if you have any input as to how long you would want that time frame to be in terms of advertising, gathering the applicant information, selecting someone, and then going through the hiring process. The other aspect that kind of is related to that is, it would be my recommendation that the council appoint two individuals from the council to sit on a committee to review applicants, to have initial interviews with the applicant, and then present that committee's choice for the most qualified person to the rest of the council, to have the opportunity to, of course, interview and speak to that person. And then if the council, if there's a consensus that this person seems to be the right person, then we will move forward with that person's hiring. That would be my recommendation. I think that impacts the time frame element of this conversation, just so you all know. Now, I know there are different windows for collecting applications. You could do a short time frame, you could do a longer time frame. Obviously, the need is there for probably a much shorter time frame. The only downside is that you're not gonna have a big of a window to collect applications. So, I mean, these are all things that as a council, it would be best if you could give us some input on how we should begin this process of replacing our town manager. And with that, I don't know, Kelly, was there anything that you?
No, I thought that was good. I think we need to nail down some specifics, because I think until now, it's just all been generally, yes, we need to do this, but I think we need some specifics nailed down.
Well, I think Steve was successful with Indeed, with, hiring some folks right now. And if, you wouldn't mind helping, I'm just a suggestion, if we go with Indeed, that, you could work with us or something and show us.
What's the
how you
cost
did it.
of that, Steve?
It was minimal, I mean, I don't know if you saw what our budget was, cause we,
I didn't see that.
I wanna say it was like, it depends on how many people you want it to reach. And it gives you a thing on, and how many days you want it to run. We ran ours, I think, 15 days or something like that, and it's so much per day. So if you run 30 days, it's gonna be a little bit more. But there's an executive side of it, I have to get back and look again, but it's really pretty cool, because when they put it in, you can actually put some like screening questions on there that you want, they're supposed to answer. They can upload their documents in there to include the resume, put specifically what you're looking for, got the job description. As they come in, it gives you the ability to be able to sort through those, where you got those that, okay, hey, they definitely meet the criteria, other ones they don't, you can put automatic, hey, thank you, but, you know, we're going different directions.
Is there a cost per applicant or just a flat fee?
No, it's a flat fee for how much you rent it.
And as many applicants as you've got, I know it's different than a town manager.
Well, we ended up with, I think, excuse me, last time, like 80-some applicants for one position.
Two weeks, or?
And how large of an area did you run it in?
It was all, it took in Terre Haute, Indianapolis, it took all the surrounding area around here, but I had people, with that one, I had, police officers look onto Indeed, and they actually, we had a Chicago officer, a Minneapolis, St. Paul officer, one from down in, I wanna say Atlanta, Georgia, and we had a couple out of New York, so.
It
people who
does reach
searching-
out further.
Yeah, people who search in Indeed and maybe they're wanting to relocate to Indiana, they'll look and put that in their search engine and they'll see the job. So,
Just for curiosity, how does that ZipRecruiter work?
Well, I think it's probably pretty similar to Indeed.
yeah, I've never done the zipper, but Indeed, we've done that. And I've used it in both in jobs I saw it and then also from the employers. There's two different sites. You can enter it through, I'm looking for a job, or then there's the employer where you when you post and it's.
I like the idea of doing Indeed and doing it for 2 weeks. I mean, you know, to keep this thing moving.
And the other thing, what I liked about it, that I was able to, because you want to try to keep these people interested, because a lot of these people put their apps in,
Yeah.
putting their apps in 20, you know, who knows how many other places. So like on the ones we did pre-screen and say, okay, hey, they meet the requirements, it gives you the ability also to have one of those positive things, says, hey, congratulations, you've passed our initial screening, blah, 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 will we make contact with you within whatever you tailor-make that thing to what you want to say. And it's like almost immediate response, so they get some instant, because I know, you know, times when people put in for jobs, you don't hear back from anybody, when you're
Right,
on
you're
now.
in limbo.
Yeah.
Right. But if we did say 2 weeks or something, we could always go another 2 weeks if we wanted to,
I
right?
think you can extend it out, yeah.
But we don't know the cost.
You can see, I mean, it was, I think for the PD, I think, we didn't have much for budget, I didn't know what my budget was, so I think we spent like, I wanna say, $30, $40 on it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's before I took over. so-
Yeah, I mean, it's like $30, $40.
Okay, so
If
2
Rick
weeks,
say Rick could tell you to the penny. what we
right,
spent.
2 weeks on Indeed and 2 weeks in the paper, I think would be sufficient.
I will say Richard Susserman said we're a part of a couple, and I don't know the names of them, but they're, it's like water associations and things like that. that we're
One
a
is
part of.
Alliance.
Alliance, okay. And they have, spots for job postings in those, so we could advertise in those, as people in the industry go to those
Yeah.
sites to look. So if you're interested in that,
I
he
think-
said he could probably help us do something.
So if
like
we
that.
do 2 weeks Indeed, 2 weeks in the paper, and then if Richard can get us some contact information there, then go 2 weeks there.
Daniel, didn't you have something at the Indiana Association of Town Managers or
I
something?
did, I made contact with them, but they didn't,
They didn't want
respond.
to respond.
I think it's, so the town historically has not been a member of IAC, which is the Indian Association of Cities and Towns.
Okay.
And, I'm guessing that they're probably like, you know, because we're not members, they're probably not gonna be real willing to. Yeah. So unfortunately, I don't think that's probably gonna be a viable option, but the option with Richard, that sounds like something similar, so that might be a good
Well,
option.
to get the ball going immediately, if we can do the Indeed and paper right away, and then depending on what Richard can set up, we can always add his in. but I don't wanna hold up the other two.
Put that ad and say Indeed, could we put some questions in there that would automatically disqualify?
Well, that's what Steve was saying, you put in some qualifying questions.
What kind of questions are you thinking?
I just put the question.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, you might put, are you willing to relocate to Putnam County? So if you got somebody that's in Indianapolis, you want them driving from Indianapolis every day, you want them living or within a certain radius. I mean, that's maybe a pre-screening question.
Do you have any managerial experience?
Well, right.
Well, and I think something else we wanna consider is posting something with salary, because a lot of these people are gonna think town manager, $150,000 a year job.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna get hit with everybody realizing.
So we could go with like 40 to 45 or for 40, whatever, right?
So, well, at a meeting, I think it was 2 months ago, you guys had discussed, a range of 40, I think it was 48 to 60.
I think we just say starting 48, we don't put a high number on it.
Well, and that's what I was wondering, how would you, if you guys are gonna post something, was that right, Kelly? Did I say that right? I thought it was 48 to 60.
That sounds right.
If you guys post that, it probably would be more beneficial to post the hourly rate for that, so we'll have to calculate the hourly rate, that's gonna be probably $20 plus, I'm guessing, even for the 48 to 60, or for 48, but there's also, we have other benefits, there's perf.
But if we put hourly,
Yeah,
it's a
hourly
salaried
better.
position. And
Right,
it's not, you put in hourly, they're gonna think it's an overtime
yes,
option, and it's not, it's a salaried position, so I don't know that we wanna put the hourly rate in
okay.
because of that. If you
Yeah,
put
that's a
in
good point.
$20 an hour, they're thinking, well, if I work 40, 40, I'm gonna get 20, but if I work 50, I'm gonna make overtime, and there is no overtime, so.
But we can potentially put in more information about, the additional benefits, health, vision, perf, so that's an option. So let me ask you this, when's our day one? Is it gonna be December 1? Get through the holidays and then get the posting out there?
I think we post it next week.
Starting next week and running for 2 weeks.
November 30th.
And do we even have a job posting? I mean, we have the
Job
qualifications. We got like the qualifications.
We have a job description.
Job description.
So that would be. That'd be the 30th or the 1st. Hard to believe it's all.
End of the month.
Yeah. Okay, and how long, I know, Greg, I think you said in 2 weeks? You
I think
guys
running for 2 weeks, we're gonna have,
Let's see what we have.
and then we can reevaluate that if we don't have adequate applicants.
But I mean, we could at least start reviewing or maybe even interviewing.
So we can run 2 weeks and then see what the applicant pool's like.
We could
and-
review the applications and then turn over to the council the recommendations.
Okay. We'll get a motion on this here at the end, but let's just real quick, committee, if you're gonna appoint 2 people to the committee, you guys wanna talk about who you would want to be on that committee? Do you want to include, anyone else potentially in that committee to review applications, like, not for maybe input, but for their take, like maybe Richard Sosserman,
I was thinking about that. yeah.
maybe Kelly. I don't know, obviously that's not really Kelly's job, but Kelly's gonna be working intimately with this person on a daily basis. So it might be beneficial to have some other individuals' input, not necessarily in the actual hiring, but potentially what their concerns are, or,
Review the applications.
yeah.
Well, I would just say the council review the applications, that's probably, we're only 5.
And well, the only problem is we can't meet
Right.
5 of us. Unless it's a special meeting or a meeting in general, we'd have to have only two. Or it can't be, it would have to be an executive session. So my suggestion was if we had a committee, like an initial committee of 2 people, who could kind of be that filter, screen applicants, find someone who they believe to be, well-suited to fit that role. And then those 2 applicants then present that to the council as a whole in executive, and then the council can review that and kind of figure out, potentially set up, individual, interviews and go through all that process.
Maybe Richard and or Brad, or I don't know who else may help us.
And I don't know if the other problem with thinking about this, I'm just trying to facilitate a conversation at this point. I'm not saying that that's a good thing.
No.
I don't know if Richard or Brad might apply for the job, so I don't know.
True, but what I was trying to say is have their input on what kind of questions to put on Indeed, qualifying questions. You know what I mean? Like Richard might say, well, they're gonna need to know a little bit about this and the water and sewage and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Maybe they can give us a couple questions, that's all.
Well,
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
3-page, requirements, wasn't it?
The job description?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I think it was
Page and a half.
2 pages.
A page and a half.
Well, it was 3, they must have reduced it.
That's gonna have your definitely kind of necessary requirement.
And we are gonna have Steve to vet this, or vet 3 to 5 applicants, is that right?
He's like, what?
What does it cost to vet someone?
Oh, like do background checks?
Yes.
Oh, I see what you're saying, okay. I mean, we just do it by, there's certain things we can get into right now that I can pretty well tell you if we find it, you know.
And,
It depends on what level you wanna get to, I mean,
right,
one thing, okay. So, I know I've gone over it before, but it hadn't been at the level where you can sit here and know how we were making sausage. But the police department, when we open up on Indeed, we do our whole screening process. Then, of course, we got a thing where we actually do, the first thing is a written test thing, which I don't know if there's anyone, there may be, if you check out there for town managers, might be some kind of aptitude test where you make sure that they can read, write, and understand the English language, can do simple math and whatever. I mean, there's aptitude tests out there, so I'm sure there's probably something for, you know, that kind of thing. So that was the first thing we did to screen, because people got to be able to do that. Once we get through that, then of course we have the physical agility testing, whatever. They go through that, then we get into the board interview thing. Because we don't waste a whole super lot of time on backgrounds and everybody. So what we wanna do is we do the board interview. And with the board interview, we have at least 4 of us in here. We have structured questions, what they call anchored questions. So you might have, depending on how many you got on the board, you have either 8, 10, 12 questions. Each person on the board asks so many questions, but you're asking each candidate the same question. And they're anchored, they're scored, there's a whole thing we've got back here to show how we do in the police department. You can come up with the same thing very easily with the town manager. Once that's all done, you're ranking. Everything they do, you're ranking. And for example, we've got an Excel spreadsheet. We give so many points for college credits, high school diploma, college credit. If you've got a certain certification you want, we get points for that. We give military points, all those kind of things, and we get points along the way. So if they pass whatever their average written score is on the aptitude test, they get points for that. So ultimately, you end up doing a mathematical equation that will bring you to what you're talking, Larry, either your top 3, top 5, whatever you say you want, to the top. And it'll be done by point wise. So you really take a lot of the human dynamics out of it, with a sense that you're awarding these points to them. So now you've got your top 3 scoring candidates. The oral interviews are pretty easy when you do it that way, when you do anchored questions, because you come up with your set of questions and then you're asking everybody the same questions. It depends on how far into the question, how many anchors they hit on there, and then the board sits there and says, okay, this person's a 5, this one's a 6, so you come up with an average score. So once you put all that into the equation, you've got your top 3 to 5. Then you come in and say, okay, hey, here's our top 3 to 5. Here, go see what you can search. When they come in here to us, these kids, we'll tell them, bring me, they got to sign a release for their financial, whatever. So Rick's got a place we can go get the financial records. Of course, we got access to Doc's Pops or my cases, so we can go there and see if they've got any pending criminal cases, civil cases, whatever. So we do that whole background, we can run driver's license checks, we can run criminal history checks, we can do whatever through that. I know I've probably a long answer for you, but that tells the whole process that we've gone through, but what it does is you really got something to stand on, because you've got not only, hey, here's our top person, but you've got that point, you know, and when it comes down to the last two, like the last one, we were so close, is one, then we had, you know, a couple of council members came in, school officials came in, and gave you the opportunity to talk to our top two candidates, and you could, you know, and that's, you made that decision on who you want. And then it also may come down, when we're talking about town manager, and that bracket that Daniel's talking about, that, would you say 48 to
60.
48 to 60, it may come down to where your number one person, guy or gal, you know, you make a contingent offer to them of what, you know, and if you can't negotiate something with them, well, then you just go down to number two. If they're on the list and they're qualified and cleared, you know, and number one says, hey, thank you for your opportunity, but that's not gonna do, you know, monetarily what I need to be, you know. A lot of people will see that range at the 60 and think immediately, boom, I get 60. Well, if they're coming in here and they don't have the education and or experience to bring to the table, that just gives you the latitude that if you do get somebody that comes in here who's got the experience in that, hey, we can go up to this salary range because we've already agreed on. Does that make?
It's good sense.
Well, getting back to, you know, electing or choosing a committee, I feel like for president and vice president to be on that committee.
Is that a motion?
Yes, motion.
Well, before we get to
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
let's, because we've got three other things that we're gonna talk about too. We'll want a motion for approval for this to start next week. Approval to run for advertisements in those various areas, and then, I wanna talk to you, Steve, about those anchor questions that you have. Are they geared specifically for that role as a police officer, or are they more generalized?
A lot of them are general. I mean, a lot of them, if you take a look through our thing, is decision making. You know, and we've got all the things we're looking for in this decision making question, problem solving question. A lot of them are kind of general. I mean, some are specific to the job, but I mean, even like, you know, you got town manager, conflict resolution. I mean, that's the kind of broad range question.
Management experience.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And there's where you would put some specific ones in there. And basically you get your committee that you got doing this stuff, that's part of it, they'll develop the questions. They could start by taking a look at what we got, saying, hey, we like this question, like this question, like this question. Okay, now, like Greg said, management experience specific. And you can Google search, you can find some very good, same type questions for management.
Because we could ask, you know, water treatment experience, sewer, utilities, people management, problem solving.
We usually try to
there's a whole.
We usually pick one in there that's rather open-ended, that when you ask it, they can, you know, if they got something they want to sell, I mean, this is how good they can sell themselves, if there's something we haven't asked, it gives them kind of an opportunity. You don't like, what do you have to offer that none of the other applicants will bring to the table? Boom, open-ended question, they go through their
What
answer.
makes you stand out
Yeah.
as an individual for this job?
I mean, there's all kinds of ways you can word that.
Okay.
That seems very efficient, that's good.
Have any of you ever had experience in, I know Larry, yes, definitely Steve. Have you guys ever, you would have been on with the last town manager, right? 2015, I think was when we retired. Who was on the board in 2015?
I was.
You were.
2015?
Yeah.
Oh, that's all.
You were.
You know, that hell
You were
catching
in
guy.
America. I didn't know about Cindy. So do you,
She said you.
and you were. So, now that would be good, I think, having that experience. If any of you have ever been,
Was Richard the interim town manager at that time?
I think so.
he was, yes, he was.
I'd like to award him with that. Be careful when he's gonna get fired and everything.
I don't know if any of you in your like jobs, your day-to-day jobs, do anything with applications, hiring. So, I think why don't we go ahead and start, I guess, we can do a motion probably at the end, but if you guys wanna talk about the committee selections, or, if Rick, you wanna go forward with your motion, and you guys talk about this.
I was going to make a motion that we start with the two-person committee and make a motion that the president, and vice president be on that board for committee. To review, applications and bring it to us, I guess.
You make the motion,
I
right?
made the motion, yes.
Is there anything else that I'm missing? I think that was, the big things were the job descriptions, the committee, and then the timeline.
Who's gonna do the posting?
Yeah. So, depending on what happens with me, I may or may not be in the have the ability to do that. And this is ultimately something that we need to talk a little bit further about in regards to, town attorney and next steps for that process. So I'm hopeful that maybe we can get that resolved. I'm guessing, I really don't think I can do that for the town, to be totally
I've
candid
made up
with
my
you.
mind on that already.
I think that it's probably gonna have to be either one of you guys, or we're gonna have to have like a team here effort with, maybe Steve or Rick might be able to assist since they've done that. And maybe Richard, since he's, knows about posting with that other, organization, but I don't think I can do it for you, unfortunately. So, I don't know how you'd want to do that.
Yeah, well, Steve, would you be opposed to helping us get it posted on Indeed?
Not at all, in fact, I just was logging into my account, to see if I could figure out stuff here, so, yeah.
And actually,
We still got access to my account, so that's good.
actually, if you come up with something for Indeed, we could use basically the same thing in other publications as well, right?
Yeah.
So, do it one time, spread it around.
And we can take a look, I think you have like a job description, you can also look on there and see other job descriptions, see if there's anything else anybody else has got, that, what they say, the biggest form of flattery is, that's using somebody else's stuff, so they've already got that.
Do we have a motion? Do you wanna, I guess let's
Do it all at once.
separate them.
Yeah.
Well, let's separate them, and why don't you, or whoever, do a motion to go ahead and get the job posted next week through Indeed and the newspaper. And by newspaper, you do mean the banner.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to use Indeed through Steve, so. We get it, posted.
Of course. I will second.
All in favor? Aye.
And that was all three mediums, or was that just Indeed? Was that Indeed, the newspaper, and the Water Alliance as well?
And if I can make a recommendation, when you do that stuff, you wanna probably direct them, because we went through that too, we had people come in, fill out paper applications here at Town Hall. We redirected even those to go to Indeed, because
Yes.
it gives you a management tool in there, So when you advertise in the paper, you wanna tell people to go to Indeed, where to look at the thing, so they can make their application, they can attach their documents and everything
Right.
within that mechanism.
Because we do that in our company.
Yeah.
You know, even though it's a referral, you have to go through the website and fill out it.
So Indeed will generate a job
Well,
number, if you will, and that can be referred to in the paper.
I mean, like here, you can take a look from our last posting, there's all the applicants that we had on there, and so you can go back in here and still today, I can pull the resumes up, and like I said, it's got all the tools and stuff on here that you can go in. I can send them, right now, if we want to open up another police job, I can go back in here and send a new notification out to all these people who applied before, hey, we're opening up another job. So, I mean, there's some cool features that it has.
So there's basically a posting ID, I guess, is how they, I know with Barb's, that's how they do it. There's an ID number that's attached to the posting,
Yes.
so that's, distributed across the different
Yes.
options, and they refer to that number.
Yeah, it says here you can post a job for free or pay to attract more candidates faster. And that's where, I mean, you can actually post it for free, but it'll give you the ability to boost it. And it'll tell you about how many people that will reach through the boost, which then I think it attaches it to either, because there's, like you're talking about ZipRecruiter and some of those things. A lot of these sites, when you do and you pay like that, they'll cross-populate, where you might find like, the other one, simplyhired.com and some of those. You'll find stuff on Simply Hired that actually takes you to Indeed and back and forth, so.
I keep hearing, ZipRecruiter on TV and radio, realize
Okay, any other discussion on that? Okay, committee to, review the applications.
I made the motion before, make it again, president, vice president, be on that committee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
There's only 4 hands that went up.
Okay, anything else on that? I think
Is
that's
there a
all.
time frame, or was there?
Time frame. Yeah, run for 2 weeks was the suggestion, I think, that you guys had spoken about.
Yep.
Longer, we can go another 2 weeks.
And I run that from 2 weeks from the day we get the posting.
Yeah, and you'll be able to set it in, it's part of the setting.
Sure.
Okay. Move on to tablets.
Yeah, I just have real quick, a couple things. This is a tablet I would suggest to get for you all. It's a Samsung, this size is like a 32 gig, I think. I'm not real familiar with computers, but basically this would do the job for me to be able to dump all the documents on here and you guys to be able to access them. It's on sale right now for $169. We just purchased this one for Richard in the water department.
How much was it?
$169. Yeah, so it's $169, and just for a point of reference, I did reach out to EAS in October and asked them what they could do for us on tablets, and they came back, and this included a case, a flip case, but a tablet was $225. So, whatever, I mean, if you all are agreeable to.
Think you'll be able to find anything on Black Friday?
I don't know that I'm gonna get that cheaper than $169,
Yeah.
that's
What was
really
the
good price
brand,
cheap.
what was the brand of the case? Was it also Samsung?
Lenovo was the brand through EAS, which I believe is a pretty good brand too. But
So what are the costs for a case for that one if we would buy cases?
I believe it was $20 or less for a case. I didn't price it out, I can't remember what we got Richard, but we got him like the hefty duty. It was going out in the field.
Exactly.
So yours won't be yours will just be something to protect
Just a
it,
flip phone,
something
yeah.
light.
It's a flip case.
That's the Samsung one.
Yes, this is a Samsung.
Nova was $225 roughly.
Yes.
Warranties on both, same.
I didn't look at warranty, I mean, just the standard, it didn't include anything extra, so I would assume just the standard.
Okay.
And like I said, we're not gonna be using it for a lot of extensive
Mhm.
things, so I think in either one of them, I think would be just fine.
And we would just have them here.
No, they'd be yours to take home,
Oh.
that way you could access
Yeah, I was
the
gonna say,
documents
because
at
you
any
docs
time,
and stuff,
yeah.
You've been
Send it
sending
to
them
her.
out early and I'm getting
Mhm.
them on a computer,
Yeah,
that's
and-
great.
And I'm hoping to possibly, even as I get things throughout the month, instead of waiting till
Yeah.
the week before to go ahead and start dumping stuff in the folder, so, I mean, at any time, you guys can get in there and start getting an idea of things that we're gonna be considering.
Any more discussion?
Are we gonna be able to get 5 of them locally right away?
We should, actually, the Samsung is through Walmart, and I got it, we ordered this for Richard, and I picked it up the next day, I could have gone the same day and picked it up, but yeah, free.
Does Brad need one?
I don't know, I mean, not that I know of, we're using it at the water, we got one for the water plant to use for a couple different reasons, and then, Richard discovered a new reason, which has made his life a lot easier, it's been efficient, and it has potential to save the town money on a monthly basis, almost $100. So,
Will it pay for itself?
yeah, so we ordered him a second one, so one he could have to take home, and then one would stay at the water plant, and that way he could have access
Link to it.
the whole time. And the guys also use it as a time clock on the weekends, when they come into the water plant to take care of that, it double duties as a time clock as well.
Should we go ahead and get Brad one?
What do you think he would use it for?
For that reason alone, time clock.
The time clocks are tied to a location.
I mean, you said Richard's using it for a time clock?
No, Richard's not, the
No.
guys,
Okay.
yeah,
Just
Richard
at the
is
water
treatment.
salary,
They-
but
they
yeah,
walk
the
in,
guys
they
who
can
come in
click
on
in.
hourly and clock
Okay.
in, and
Okay.
it's tied to a location, so it's there for them.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not opposed to getting Brad one, I'm just trying to figure out the reason
Why,
for it,
why
why he would use it.
doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll motion we go ahead and purchase them.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that's with cases.
Sounds good.
Anything else?
I do, yeah, a couple things.
No.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a couple things, if that's okay, and talk about one other item. One, I wanted to, highlight Kelly's efforts. Kelly's been really, really great with updating the town in terms of making it, much easier on the people in this community to pay their bill a month. And so that went live on the 10th, and I wanted to know if you feel like it's been going well, if people have been really open to it.
There's been a steady trickle of people, it went out right when the bills went out, so, the first due date's coming up, but yeah, there's been a steady trickle of people signing up and paying online.
I used it already.
Sweet.
What is the convenience fee rate?
What it
I think it's
$3.95.
$3.95.
Yeah.
$3.95 up to $300.
I think it's a little different, if you do a check,
Mm-hmm.
it's like $2.95.
Yes, there's
Cards,
there's different
$3.95.
price if you do like an electronic transfer,
Right.
it's cheaper, and then if you set up like automatic payments electronic, it's even cheaper than,
Right.
gets even cheaper than that.
I did notice on my last water bill, the due date was the 30th.
Yes, per ordinance, the due date is always the 25th unless the office is closed, and if the office is closed, it goes to the next business day. And because the 25th was a Wednesday, our office is closed, and then 26th is Thanksgiving, and then we're off Friday for Thanksgiving, and then you have the weekend.
Okay.
So in December, it's gonna be really sticky like that too,
Yeah,
but,
right.
but it'll get back to the 25th.
Okay.
The other item, and this is the one that I have been slowly pulling the Band-Aid off of, because I have been very reluctant to talk about this, because I really do enjoy working with all of you in this capacity next steps for town attorney. I have given my notice, so I haven't made this public. I spoke with council members, but that I do intend on kind of stepping back and focusing on my family. This year has been very busy and very hectic, and it's been that for all of us together. And I think I just need a little bit of a break. And that's not to say that I won't ever want to work with you again. I've enjoyed deeply working with you and really working in this community. But as you all know, I presented some names to you, some attorneys who expressed interest in being the new town attorney. And I don't know if you would want to have any discussion on that. To be totally transparent with you, my preference, before we get too far into the town manager process, is that the council make a decision as to who you would like. A couple weeks ago, we had the option to speak with both attorneys, and both are seem like very personal, good people. They're very interested in serving the town. But you know, I don't know if you as a council have made a decision as to how you would like to proceed. If you feel that there is one candidate that you like better and you all feel comfortable with that individual, I think tonight let's go ahead and plan on, if you as the council are ready to do that, to select that person and get them hired so that in December they can begin getting their feet wet. That will give me the opportunity to begin the long transition phase of getting them abreast as to what has happened over the last year, getting them cognizant of what to be thinking of 2 and 3 months down the road, and begin the process of getting all these folders transferred to them so that they are aware of what's going on. Plus, it will give them the opportunity to have a role in shaping the future of the town, in the town manager process, and that's, I think, a really good thing. So that would be my preference. I'm totally being transparent with you. And like I mentioned, I've really loved working with all of you. But I also know when it's my time, and I feel like now would be a good time for me to step back, for the new attorney to step in and to begin that process of working with each of you through not just the town manager process, but into the new year. You're gonna have a brand new town manager. You've got Kelly, who's relatively new, but she's a rock star, she's doing great. You guys are united, you guys have done a lot this year. Police force is doing outstanding work in the community and in the county. That missing piece, town manager and then the new attorney, I think will be very integral in terms of keeping this positivity moving forward.
I thought we did kind of come to somewhat of a choice if he would take, I think it was like a certain dollar amount less per hour.
One of the candidates, we did speak with him, was the president, vice president, right? He said what he brings to the table is a wealth of experience. And he said generally he actually, that candidate, generally his clients are charged at a higher rate than what he quoted the town. He actually discounted his rate specifically for Cloverdale. And I think there were some questions too in previous conversations about what happens potentially with his. We were kind of under the impression that it was the father of that candidate.
Right.
And it's actually
the son.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think
Okay.
I think he said he's got kids ranging from
College.
20 to
College down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there shouldn't be any concerns about if something was to happen to that person, who would step in.
Okay, got it. Okay.
But I
And
was,
it's a large firm.
it's a
Yes.
very large firm. I know several of the attorneys that work there, and
Okay.
So we're getting senior then.
junior. You'll be getting the younger.
Oh,
Yes. If the council was to decide to hire him. I know that, both attorneys are just kind of waiting at this point. I told them, you know, we'll talk about it when we get a chance to meet. This is our first chance to meet. And now that we kind of have a good plan, at least in place for the timeline, I think for me, it's been difficult because I love working with you guys. I really do. So I haven't wanted to kind of step back, but I know like
So the longer we drag.
the
our feet-
longer that I keep kicking the can down the road, it's gonna be harder, I think, on both of us, and probably not in the town's best interest, especially with, you know, replacing the town manager and starting the new year fresh. You've got a brand new clerk treasurer, you have a brand new town manager. You guys, I think there's just a lot of promise, and so, if we can get that new attorney in December, then that whole month will be an opportunity of transferring documents, getting them, updated as to where we're at on stuff, getting introductions, so they have opportunities to speak with you guys individually, and kind of getting a game plan for 2021 and next steps in terms of we've got blighted properties that we could work on. There's all kinds of things. So that would be my preference if I was totally being candid. And I wanted not to say something, but I really feel like I should say something because I think it's in the town's best interest. If you guys are at the point where you feel comfortable with the candidate, or a candidate, that you go ahead and move forward. But I want to just introduce that, turn it over to you, and if you want to have discuss, and if you want to postpone, that's fine. The downside is I probably will not be here in December, so. I don't want to go like
made up. I mean, can we just make a motion, or do we want to talk more about it?
I think we go ahead and make a motion.
I do not have any discussion,
We've kind of made a decision, so the two candidates are.
There were two candidates. The first was a gentleman by the name of Richard Shackley, which you all know, Richard.
Yeah.
And the other gentleman was, Benjamin Waite. Yes, he's a nice gentleman. He's, actually, opening a firm here in Cloverdale. But at the same time, I mean, I think you guys have had the opportunities to speak with both attorneys. You've reviewed their resume, reviewed their information. And so if you guys are leaning towards one rather than the other, then, I think that's.
I think I'm gonna make a motion, we go ahead and hire Richard.
Shagley?
Yes.
Yes.
I second the motion.
There we go.
So, if the council approves that, then I'll reach out and let Richard know.
Okay.
And do you want him to start December 1st?
8th,
Or December,
first meeting.
his first meeting, yeah. I guess technically his work would be, beginning in December.
Yeah, that'd be great.
No vote yet.
No.
So,
So we have to vote.
okay, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor? Aye.
thank you. As you know, it's been a tremendous pleasure to serve this community and each of you working together. I'll still be in Cloverdale. My family's still here. So I plan on hitting the link and metal detecting with Greg.
Couldn't even find you in Florida.
So, well,
Wish
yeah,
I brought my
me
phone so I could take the camera on my phone.
yes. No. I'm just teasing.
Well, the short time, it's already been a year almost.
It's been a year.
Hey, thank you.
Yes, you've got.
You really,
Thank you.
through this period in January, you're very instrumental in helping us.
There's a lot of hairy situations that came up this year, and we've navigated them very well.
Daniel, I remember asking you at the bank if you wanted to practice law, and you said no. You came to work for the town and you can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. Really enjoyed your meeting. Thank you.
From the police department. Thank you.
Thank you. So I appreciate it. I didn't want to throw that on the agenda tonight, but I thought it'd We got all 5 of you here, let's, if you guys are comfortable with one
It
candidate.
wasn't added, so none of this counts.
Yeah, that's right. So you gotta come back next.
I know
month.
that's not true.
Is there anything else?
You can come back from time to time, you gotta come in that door though.
Oh.
I have to, yeah, you'll wanna change the security code.
You gotta watch who's
The
kinda
first
shady.
time that I got in with my new security code.
Oh, does it work now?
I changed it. It
Years
works now.
last, yeah.
Mine done.
Yes, mine did.
We've enjoyed it.
Just so you know, I'll let the other attorneys know,
But
and
will you be with him on the 8th, or will you be talking to him before that?
I will be
Okay.
prepping him for the 8th, and
Okay.
then he'll be here on the 8th.
All right.
I believe.
Okay.
So we will,
So we should call him and tell him that he needs to insist that you be here too.
maybe I'll just, I don't wanna come if he,
Sure.
assuming he's.
Since
I
he's
want him to let.
since he's attorney-elect, we have to have a
Yeah, there you go.
transition.
Well, do we need to vote again?
Recount, recount.
Recount, no. So,
Alright.
bad joke.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn this meeting.